So after we field dressed it, we brought it back up to the shop, and our ECC maintenance department has graciously offered to help us here. So we got it hung up. What I did first was I washed it out really, really well. This deer had been gut shot, and one of the important things there is to make sure that you get as much of that contamination out of there as possible. So we just pulled it out, used a water hose, sprayed it out as much as we possibly could. What I'm gonna do now is skin it. This will take a little while. What I'm going to do is I'll start up here and I'll cut the skin around the leg and cut down the inside of the leg, and then I'll pull the skin back and down. I'll do the same thing over here, pull the skin back and down, and then we'll work our way down the body until we can get down to the other legs. And then eventually we'll take the legs off. We'll probably have to use a saw to do that. So starting point be right here. So as I said, this will take a little while to do. I want to cut all the way around. I can already tell it's beginning to cool. The carcass of the deer has cooled a lot since we started this. So that's a good thing. We want it to cool as quickly as we possibly can. So, cut the hide there. I'm going to split it down the inside of the leg. Go into where I cut it before, and then just start working my way back. One of the important things when you're doing this is to try as much as possible to not get any hair on the meat. If you get hair on the meat, it leads to a bad taste. It takes a long time to pick that hair back off the meat, but it can lead to a bad taste in your meat. So one of the things you want to try to do if possible is not leave any hair on the meat. This is always much easier to do when the animal's fresh. Try to do this after they've been dead for quite a while, and it can take a long time. It can be very hard to do. Now I'm going to repeat the process on the other leg. So go under the skin, cut around, hopefully not get into the meat, down the leg. Again, if you have a knife that has a gut hook on it, sometimes you can do this a little easier too. Skin around the tail. I'll try to take the tail off with a knife, but I may have to have a saw to take the tail off. If you can, there it went right there. If you can get between the vertebrae, then it'll come right off. Lots of fat. This deer was going to be ready for winter. When I finish, I'll cut some of that fat off of there. And then when you have a wound like this deer has, where I'm at the moment, I don't know that you can see that, but there's a wound on the side over here. I want to cut around. There's a little bit of a wound right here from the process from the taking the animal. I'll cut away some of that, and then what I'll be doing in just a minute is going down the legs to take the skin off of the legs. But there's a wound channel right there. That's part of the taking of the deer. You always want to cut away those parts and get rid of those parts. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the other side, come down the flank and come down the ribs. So you just repeat the process on the other side. When they're fresh, lot of times this will just peel away real easily. Okay, so right here is the entry wound from where the hunter shot this deer. Looks like it was a pretty steep angle. It was almost straight down. So there's a large wound right here. So what I need to do is cut around this wound and as much as possible get rid of as much of this blood as I can. And then what I also want to do is try to get rid of some of this bad meat. While I'm here and while I'm at it, I'm just going to do it. We want to do as much as we possibly can to keep things from spoiling. We also want to get rid of this old meat, this wound meat, because of the taste. We don't want to leave any bad taste behind. Okay, so go from here down. A lot of bleeding under the skin, that's expected. Okay, I'm going to move around to the other side and peel that down. And then I'll go down the legs on both sides. I will usually go down to just below that knee joint. And then go around the leg. Go to the inside of the leg. Knife's getting dull, that's good timing. Almost done. Oops, cut into the meat there. See if I can save that. Okay. Pull back from here. And I'm going to do the other leg the same way. So I want to cut down the inside of the leg. One of the things that you'll learn really quickly is cutting through hair will dull your knife really fast. If you can get under the hair and go through the skin instead, it'll keep the edge on your knife for a lot longer. I can also see there's some fluid that has come out of the body cavity after we washed it. There's some greenish looking fluid right here, and we'll need to be sure we wash that off really, really well. We don't want to leave that behind. That'll be full of bacteria from where the deer was gut shot. So we want to make sure we don't leave any of that behind. Now we'll go down the top of the back and down the neck. I think I'll split the hide right here so I can work around the neck a little better maybe. There we go. My knife is really getting dull. All right, our last step will be to take the head off, and I'll have to get a saw to do that. So Mike Palazzola, who's our chef for our culinary arts program, is going to help me take the head off here. We have a Sawzall we're going to do that with.
You let me know when, Kevin.
Whenever you're ready. And that's it. Next step. This deer came from a CWD management county. I'm pretty sure this deer came from Jefferson County, which is in a chronic wasting management zone. So what we'll do is we'll submit this to the conservation department so that they can test it for CWD. Those results will come back in a few weeks, and then we'll know for sure that everything's good and that this deer is clean and safe to eat. All right, so one of our next steps then is to take the legs off. So we're going to take the front legs off at that front joint. Okay, go ahead. Okay. We have a skinned deer.